Welcome back. A question for you. Which of our stories has received the most number of hits online? Well, the undisputed winner with a staggering 3 million hits is a story by Adrian Brown in 2011, which looked at the new cities springing up all over China with almost no one in them. Are they part of a massive property bubble that's about to burst? Or do the mandarins in Beijing have a very, very big plan for the future? Adrian has been back to China to try and find out.
The Chinese don't have to go to Paris anymore. It's come to them. This is the district of Tianjucheng in Zhejiang province. A bizarre mix of Parisian townhouses, fountains from the Palace of Versailles, and an Eiffel Tower clone, a third the size of the original. It's an incongruous scene, a place where China's aspirations and traditions collide.
Vous parlez français?
我们叫铁塔。
Vous parlez français? Oui, vous parlez français.
挺有意思的。
Au revoir.
But just like my French, this architectural clone has gone badly wrong. On Champs-Élysées Square, just about every shop stands abandoned.
这些店就是来的人啊，就是一开始的时候住的人很少，我们那时候住进来还要少，几乎一个班车上啊就2、3个人住。然后现在多一点了，但是就是陆陆续续的嘛，然后开一段时间开不起来就关了。
Tianjucheng is proving popular with wedding photographers. But the Parisian vibe hasn't quite proved to be the attraction it was meant to be. 10,000 people were supposed to live here. Today the population's a tenth of that.
跟巴黎差不多，就这边稍微偏了一点啊。这边房价便宜，就说它这边房子很漂亮哦，但是入住的人呢，好像都是看好它的便宜，很少看到它的这种风格啊，因为啊。
前年底12月底开的。
At a local noodle bar, I find Wu Xixing serving up the lunchtime noodles. She's tried to make a go of it for the last year and a half, but is worried about how long her business can stay afloat.
人流量少呗，不是很多。啊哈，那我们都是靠跑量的呀，量多就生意好一点。我们是小吃啊，这里的生意很多都做不下去嘛。以后我们就讲不来了，以后发展怎么样，我们也不大清楚。
It's possible, of course, that more people will move in and the shops will reopen. But for now, Tianjucheng is another of China's ghost cities.
On it goes. Every shop empty, boarded up. Amazing.
In the southern city of Dongguan, I've returned to the vast and crumbling South China Mall. It claims to be the world's biggest shopping centre. It's also the emptiest.
Nothing has changed in the 2.5 years since I was last in the Great Mall of China.
I last reported from here in 2011. Back then I found toy shop owner Tianyu Gao trying desperately to make a go of it.
Do you get very lonely in here?
來呢邊看鋪咧係有啲無聊㗎，客人太少啦。
When was the last time you sold something?
琴日都有買一個，有時幾日都有嘅，2日都有。
Today, Mr. Tian's old shop is boarded up. He didn't survive. But the shopping centre could yet prosper. The local government has taken over, classifying it as a national tourist attraction. Billions of dollars are being spent on a makeover that includes a massive apartment and villa complex. The aim is to turn this miserable mall into a new town. It's a build, build, build mentality that has some high-ranking officials concerned.
可能要进行及时的调整它的发展思路，特别是要矫正地方政府的一种发展的一种对推动城市化一种这种盲目赶超节俭一种行为。
Li Tai heads the country's top economic planning agency. For such an influential figure, his language is refreshingly frank.
大量的城市呢，它取决于长官的主观意志和偏好。当他去了欧洲、去了美国以后，看到美国很好的形态，希望原封不动的搬到中国来显示我们中国的建设风格，或者显示中国在这种城市化发展的一种赶超心理。那我们更多的可能是追求表面上的城市化。
For the ultimate display of rampant and unchecked urbanization, I've come to Inner Mongolia.
That's a whole city over there, isn't it?
To the city of Kangbashi in the sprawling district of Ordos. 8:30 a.m. peak hour on the main road into China's largest and most infamous ghost city. In the middle of a mining boom, developers were given free rein here. This is where Genghis Khan meets Alice in Wonderland. Complete with a yellow brick road to nowhere. People may be at a premium here, but space is not.
全长呢是2.5公里，宽是200米的一个广场。
When the short-lived mining boom went to bust, the influx of new residents never came. Designed to accommodate 1 million residents, today the population is reportedly less than 70,000. Driving around this city is an eerie and unsettling experience. Everywhere apartments stand empty, office blocks remain half-finished, and the cranes are idle.
I think the problem in Ordos is that things just took off, they went completely crazy.
Author Tom Miller has written a book on China's urban explosion and why places like Ordos have failed.
The kinds of population pressures Ordos imagined they would have not come to pass, and so yes, in Ordos there's going to be an awful lot of waste.
When you travel around China, as I have done, and you see all these empty apartment blocks, houses that haven't been lived in, are we seeing the signs of a property bubble that's beginning to burst?
And I think there are certainly bubbles within China, but the point is that China's a very, very large country, and it doesn't make sense to talk about a single bubble. I think imagine China as bubble wrap. Some of those bubbles within it might burst, but in places like, say, Beijing and Shanghai, there's still massive, massive demand for housing, and there isn't enough housing.
It's the area's lack of people that, ironically, is drawing in the visitors. Some have come a long way to see for themselves the emptiest city in the world's most populated country.
Those tourists. Hello.
Hi.
Where are you from?
From Iraq.
From Iraq?
Yeah. What about you?
From Australia.
It'll be a while before the tourists come here, though. 850 kilometers south of Ordos, they're building another city from scratch. In Gansu province, in China's arid west, Langzhou New Area is taking shape. It's a project that began with military precision just 2 years ago, when army engineers cut the tops of 700 mountains and filled in the valleys. And this is what they're building. A 130,000 hectare metropolis. This project is all part of China's ambitious goal to move more than 400 million people from the countryside to the city in the next 10 years. It is perhaps only China that could contemplate something
on this almost unimaginable scale.
Since the turn of the century, China's urban population has grown by a mind-boggling 220 million people. The government is gambling that cities that are empty now will in time start to fill up.
If you travel around China, you will find lots of empty places, and if you come back 5 years later, you'll find that they filled up. And this is a standard pattern of development in China, and it's very, very different from the way development works in almost any other country in the world.
Thank you very much for inviting us to your new city.
Gu Shijiang is Lanzhou New Area's deputy mayor. He insists his city will not make the same mistakes as Ordos.
兰州新区，它绝对不可能成为一座空城，一个鬼城，一个什么呢？非常好的一个功能非常齐全的这个城市，一个美好的一个城市。所以说呢，它可以提高我们的老百姓的生活水平。
The foundations of a new life are taking shape by the day. Lanzhou will soon become home for thousands of rural migrants from the city's sprawling hinterland.
这个呢，只是咱整个绿地智慧金融城整个这个项目的1期里面的一个1/5不到的一个地块。另外，高层住宅呢，主要是满足这个大量的就是这个刚性需求需要来这去居住，在新区创业、置业在这需要居住的人群。
Before we left Lanzhou, the deputy mayor had some people he wanted us to meet.
We've been invited here by the local government and they're basically organising all of our interviews. Now we're being taken to meet some local farmers who are having to leave their land to make way for this new city.
These farmers have had no say in their relocation, but with government minders in earshot, all insist they're glad to be moving.
前进的路上，我们就前人没走过的道路，我们才走来了；前人没做过的事，我们才做来了。这就好的很嘛。
哎呀，高兴嘛！这是共产党的幸福啊，好啊！
For men who've worked the fields much of their lives, the big challenge will be to find work in the city.
I suppose in a way it's not difficult to see why these people are happy to move, but it's always hard to know whether they're saying what they really mean when you've got government minders all around you. And look here, you can see the demolition work has already begun. And soon, all this will be one vast construction site.
I asked to see one of the next houses on the demolition list and quickly discovered it was only built 10 years ago.
What's wrong with this? This seems all right. Why does it have to be knocked down?
But a lot of farmers, the house like this.
And yet they're going to be knocked down?
Yes.
For the owner, the gain of a new apartment will mean losing his family home.
那肯定可惜啊，能一不可惜的了吗？那么刚才做这问题哈，现在可能这就只能是响应政府的号召呗。这才就可能是政府怎么安排，我们怎么接受。
So, will your apartment be bigger than this?
不知道这个我们没拆迁，可能现在我们还说不上在哪里。还没看见。就是现在可能我们的还没拆迁呗，没拆迁我们也现在还说不上。
Across China, millions more are making the move from the country to the city. It's social engineering on the grandest of scales.
我做的好方法，你看，按照以前历史留下的就是这样呢。现在我们那就少，也就开始说就上钱了，做路也就等于上钱嘛。
Adrian Brown in China. And that plan to move more than 400 million people into those new areas simply beggars belief. Our website has a blog from Adrian about the rather mixed reaction from Chinese authorities to his visit. And there's a revealing interactive satellite view of the deserted streets. Plus, see his original report from 2011, which, as I mentioned, has been viewed over 3 million times. That's at sbs.com.au/dateline.